Oh, hey y'all. Welcome to a little knitting tipsy tutorial here. I am going to show you how to add, let's get some of these things we don't need out of the way here. I'm going to show you how to add a crochet border to your Florida Babe Bikini cup. And we're going to also add elastic inside. This also is the same technique that you're going to use for your bottoms. So here you can see my Florida Babe Bikini bottoms, and you're gonna do the same technique, applying it with the tunnel and how to wrap the elastic, how to weave it in. Go ahead, pour yourself a cocktail. I've got mine right here. And let me show you what you're gonna need. You are going to need your knit bikini cup that you have finished. I went ahead and wove in all my ends. You have the little tunnel here, and then the ends are woven in. You're also going to need a crochet hook in the same size as the knitting needles that you used to meet gauge for the pattern. So this is a C hook. It is 2.75 millimeters. This is what I'm going to be using. You're going to want some round cord elastic. Let me show you a package. I have it in black too. This is from Dritz, and it's the round cord elastic. I think it doesn't actually say anywhere on here like the measurement, but I think it's 1/4 inch, even though that seems a lot smaller to me. I think that's what I saw online, but I buy the packages with 5 yards. You'll need a pair of scissors, and at the end, you're probably gonna want a yarn needle to weave in the elastic and your ends. So what we're gonna do here, we are going to kind of just measure out approximately how much cord we need. I like to leave a little out on each end, and then I can weave those in and snip them. So I'm probably gonna use about this much. I'll cut right here. So go ahead and cut your elastic. Okay. So, and you're gonna do that for the other side as well. We are not doing any edging to the bottom. We're only doing the sides and the top. And one more thing to clarify, this was one of my first samples in the pattern that y'all have. There are 4 stitches at the top. I think I went down to 3 stitches in this one. So if your top doesn't look quite as pointy as mine, that's probably why. Okay, so you're gonna take, you can use a contrast color if you want. I use the same color for my edging. I just think I like how it looks that way. And we're going to go here, turn your cup to the side and start at the bottom. So right up here where that tunnel closes, that's kind of going to be the first stitch that we're going to go into. So you're going to take your crochet hook and you're going to place it inside that first stitch. It's okay if you aren't like fully under both legs, but you want to be right in there. Okay. So I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to slip it onto the hook, and I'm going to pull up and through. Now the first thing that we're going to do is pull up a loop, a chain 1. So if you're not familiar with crochet terms, that's okay. You can just follow along. So we're going to wrap from back to front and pull up 1. And you can see we have that first loop pulled up. So now what you're gonna do, you're gonna grab your elastic and it's gonna go behind your yarn right here. So you can hold it with your left hand here. You can see it's behind my work, behind the yarn. I'm gonna do a little less to the back there. Okay, now we're gonna go right back in that same place that we had started into that first stitch. And you're gonna go wrap around, so the yarn's in the back. You wrap around and it's gonna catch the elastic and pull up. Now we're ready to make our first single crochet stitch. Single crochet, you yarn over from back to front and you pull through these 2 loops here. This yarn sometimes sticks a little. I wanna make sure I get through all of the little legs on it. There we go. Okay. So it is trapped in there now. I mean, if I pull, it will pull through, and we will weave in this end later to tie it down. Now we're going to keep single crocheting all the way up to the end here. Here's how we do that. Your next stitch, you can see this leg right here. this is our next stitch. I'm going to go into it and be behind my yarn and behind the elastic. Yarn over, pull through the loop. I have 2 loops on my hook. Yarn over, again, we always yarn over, back to front, and pull through. So now I've got it trapped in there. And to make sure that you're going through the right stitch, remember, if we turn this was kind of our salvage edge. It was that knit one at the end. Your salvage edge has 2 legs. You can see them here, 1 and 2. So we are going to make sure we go through both of those as we do this. Now here's my little tip. I think it looks neater if you also go into these little nubbins here. So instead of going into this next row here, I like to go into that little stitch right here as well. So I'm going to push my hook through, making sure that I'm through both edges on the side. Grab my yarn up. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through. It gives you the stitches are closer together, which I think hides the elastic better. So now our next stitch is right here. We go in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So you are going to keep doing that all along the side until you get to the top of your cup. And then I'll show you what to do up here. So meet you there. Okay, now we are at the top and you can see we have a nice crochet border on our cup and it's super stretchy. Okay, so I'm up here at the top and there are 3 stitches at the top for me. Y'all are gonna have 4 stitches. So when we get to the top, we don't any longer want to be crocheting this edge. I'm gonna show you how to weave it in a hot second, but I do have one little string that I forgot to weave in on my cup. So we're gonna go in and we are going to do the top stitch. This is just gonna be a single crochet. Remember, we're not gonna have the elastic in there. So I'm going into the stitch. I'm going to pull through. Now I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over again and pull through. So this is kind of that top stitch and it's on the right. Let's do one more in there. So that's the side stitch and now we're making a nicer turn for the top. So we're gonna add another single crochet there. And now there are 2 in that same stitch, which this will make it easier across the top to do. We are going to add y'all are gonna have 3 more to do. I only have 2. So 1, and our last one, 2. And then the final thing we're gonna do here, just like we did on this side, we're actually gonna add 2 in that same space so that there's 1 at the top and then 1 at the side to start down. Okay, so we have 1 full side complete. We have a nice neat form at our top. And whenever we finish this, you'll see it looks nice and neat across the top. We're gonna do the same thing as the other side. We're going to measure the piece of elastic that we need. I'm probably gonna do about this much. Make a little snippy snip. Okay. Now, instead of starting at the base of our cup, we're gonna start at the top. So remember, to make this catch, we want it to go behind our work. So I have elastic behind, and I have my last single crochet stitch that I did, and I have my work. So this is looking a little raggedy there from wearing it. The next stitch that I'm gonna go into is right here, and I'm going to go under both legs. I'm going to catch that elastic by yarning over, pull up. I've got my 2 loops here, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through. I'm actually gonna pull this a little higher so that I have more to weave in at the end. That's too high. Perfect. Okay, and now we're gonna do the same thing single crocheting down the side with the elastic behind. So my next stitch, ignore this little loopy, it's just frayed, is that little nubbin right here. I'm going to go into it, yarn over, pull up. I have 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through both. My next stitch is really easy to see. It is this leg right here, making sure that I go under both. I go under, yarn over, pull through. I have 2 loops here, yarn over, pull through both loops. I'm going to keep doing this all the way down my cup until I get to the bottom. Your last single crochet with the elastic is going to be where our first stitch was on the other side. So remember, our first stitch was here in the first stitch of that tunnel. That's where we want to make our last stitch, is going to be right here. So I will meet y'all at the end right here. Okay, y'all. So we have just one more step to go, and that's going to be to finish this off. So I'm going to do my last stitch, which is right in the top of this tunnel, like we said. I'm going to hold this guy out of the way. And I'm going to go into that stitch, remembering to go under all of the legs. So I go into that stitch, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull. Now that was my last stitch. I'm also going to finish this. I do this all the time with my work with a slip stitch. So I go back into that same stitch and I'm going to pull up a loop, but then I'm just going to pull it all the way through. And now I can cut my yarn. And I'm just going to keep pulling. And there we go. Now it's closed off. So now we have our cup that is, it has its crochet edging, it has some nice elastic to it, and our last step is just going to be to weave in these elastics and our ends. So just like I would weave in an end with my yarn, I'm going to weave in this elastic. You don't want to push it through so that it's showing on this side. You just want to pick up these back stitches. So I'm going to go through, I don't know, 5, 6, however many I can grab. Let's see if I can get that one. Yeah, okay. So make sure you're not, oh, it looks like I might be showing through there. I'm going to back up out 1 stitch just so that I'm not poking through. Now when you pull through, you might have to fan dangle it a little bit since it's thicker. There we go. So I'm going to tighten that up a little bit, and you can barely see it on this side, and it is invisible on the other side. You can rethread if you need to. Mine often pulls off whenever I'm doing this. And I'm going to turn it, and I'm just going to go back through, skipping a stitch or 2. And yeah, sure, that looks about good. Now I'm going to pull through. There we go. Okay, so now I have my elastic threaded. You can see it a little bit on the inside, but it's just about invisible on the outside. And then I'm just going to snip the tip. Ha ha ha. Being careful not to cut my project. Fix my stitches up a little. And there we go. So you're going to do that for all of the edges or the pieces that are sticking out of the elastic. And then when you're done, you just weave in your ends and your cup is finished. So I'll meet you when that's all done. Okay, there you have it. We have our Florida Babe Bikini cup with the crochet border edging with the elastic. And this gives you a really nice kind of trim. It makes it nice and neat. And whenever it's laying on your boobies, it cups it. It has more stretch to it. It's more comfortable. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed adding the crochet edging to your bikini.